And we'll get this task started. We got a little sneak peek at the fight, but that's fine. Let me get the number of re-records up on here. I mean, you won't be able to see it, but I'll tell you what it was. Alright, so this movement right here, this is actually a little bit faster than just walking forward. And it's extra fast when you do it uphill. But it's also faster on flat ground, but not by as much. It's like just barely faster. When you go uphill, it saves a lot of time. And the final hit of Rasengan is by far the strongest one. Like, all the other hits are just, they do barely any damage at all. But the final hit does a lot more damage. So I timed it perfectly so that only the final hit actually hits the enemy. And so that saves a bunch of time. Because the game kind of goes into slow motion whenever you hit something with Rasengan. And so I just missed every single hit except for the final one. Alright, let me take a look at the number of re-records. 19,852. That's how many times I loaded a save state during the production of this task. That's the equivalent of about six re-records every second, including loading screens. Which is impressive because this task has 22 minutes of loading screens in it. And that re-record count includes all of that too, so if you take away the loading screens, this task is like 33 minutes long, which is the equivalent of like 10 re-records every second of actual gameplay. Oh, look at this. Okay, so you can use Kakashi's Shadow Clone a little bit earlier than usual. The only way to get a Shadow Clone to go into search mode rather than fight mode is to make it so that there are no enemies around you. That's all it checks for. As long as there are no enemies around you, the Shadow Clones will spawn in search mode. Also, that should look familiar to you because I showed you that lightning blade on Discord. Where I get every single one of them. Also, that you can take out these water tanks with a single multi-shuriken, but it's like very random. I guess shurikens use RNG or something, because if you throw it on the wrong frame, it won't actually destroy the water tank. You'll have to aim at it. And also, I'm going to be rewinding a little bit here. Not too much throughout this task, but sometimes. So, whenever you throw a weapon at an enemy, they'll dodge it as long as they're not doing something else. The only way to make them get hit by the weapon is to either make them dodge into a wall so that they can't even move any further, or you throw the weapon while they're doing something else, because they're not going to stop what they're doing in order to dodge. But you know, if they're doing nothing and you throw a weapon at them, they're going to dodge it, which is really, really annoying, and it's difficult to make a task for that. Like, every single one of those item throws took like 20 tries. So there's an extra 100 re-records for you. It's not very nice, multi-shuriken. Oh yeah, it was really annoying. I think that's the only. Well, it's not. That's not the only point in the game where you throw shurikens at distant enemies, but that's most of them right there. All the other enemies are dealt with fairly easily. Okay, so you should like this mission. You like boats, don't you? This one's a wooden boat. I threw in a bunch of swag on this one because this is just an auto scroller. So there's literally nothing you can do to speed up like the first 5 minutes of this fight. And so I just made it look as cool as possible. Also, you can get one extra virtue orb to appear if you keep on beating up dead enemies. Oh, do you like that combo? That's amazing. If you keep punching a dead enemy repeatedly, they'll drop one extra virtue orb for no reason. I have no idea why. I really wish there was some way to speed up the boat at least. Yeah, I'm positioning myself at the perfect spot where I can hit both enemies with every attack. This isn't really necessary, I don't need to be going fast, but I just thought I would do this because it looked cool. Also, that you see how he missed me there? All of those near misses are going to be frame perfect throughout this entire boat section. Like whenever an enemy's just about to punch me or just about to hit me with the projectile, every single one of them is frame perfect. Because I had to make it look a little bit cooler than usual. This section was done pretty quickly. I will say that. I got through this section in like maybe 2 days. It's like a 6-minute section or something like that. But it didn't really need to be fast, so it didn't need to be optimized either. Alright, so I have to wait for the next wave of enemies to spawn. It's not based on a timer. It's based on the boat moving into the activation area for the next fight. Oh, you like the moonwalking? That's awesome. That moonwalking is harder than it might sound. If you go to the front of the boat, it'll spawn the enemies a bit faster because you'll move into the activation area for the second fight. But I was near the back of the boat because it doesn't really matter anyway. The only thing that matters is spawning the final enemy, and if the boat's still moving at the same speed regardless of where you are, then like you can't speed that up. Speeding up, like spawning this wave of enemies faster isn't gonna make the final enemy spawn faster. I'm just messing with them now, watch this. It's a shame that attack is pretty useless in every other situation. I think I actually tried in the last mission I actually tried to jump over one of the walls. I jumped, I triangle jumped off of it, and then I used the heavy attack to like spin around in midair, and then a Rasengan to propel me forward. And even with frame perfect controls, I couldn't get over the wall because I found out that there's actually an invisible wall over the regular one. So that really sucks. That would have been like one of the best sequence breaks in the whole game if you could do that. Oh yeah, I switched to Sakura just for you. Also, when Sakura jumps, her hitbox changes a little bit. Like you'll notice, right when I'm about to jump here, as Sakura, the kunai misses her. See that? and then the second one as well. Yeah, so when you jump off a wall, you can actually change your direction with the heavy attack. You can't really do that with just regular movement. Alright, here's the boss. Here's the easy one. I think in real-time runs, the runners just use Rasengan the entire time, but it's actually faster to throw in one punch. Just one. Yeah, I decided to switch to Sakura just because she's not gonna be used for the rest of the run, and there's like no other opportunity to use her. By the way, I picked up all of the virtue from that enemy. I know it didn't look like it, but I did. No, I'm gonna use Ninetales mode a couple of times actually. I think I used Ninetales mode 3 times throughout this TAS. Let me think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I used him 3 times. Ninetales mode is a lot more useful in Chronicles 2 than it is in Chronicles 1. Yeah, because in Chronicles 1, in order to use Ninetales mode, you had to build up a lot of your Ninetales gauge, of your I guess it's called the spirit gauge, and it wasn't as easy to build up spirit back in that game because the best way to do it is to get your combo really high, and the only way to do that is to use Shadow Clones, and it takes a long time to charge up Shadow Clones in Chronicles 1. But in Chronicles 2, you can charge up your Shadow Clones like that. So that's one thing. And another thing, in Chronicles 2, you don't have to be half dead in order to use the Ninetales mode. So that's another thing. It's just way faster and better and stronger in Chronicles 2. This should look familiar to you too. So there's an advanced tech you can do by canceling all of the ending lag of that heavy attack right there that Shikamaru did. If you press X immediately when the attack starts, you can then do a different attack, either square or triangle, and it'll just instantly come out as soon as he lands on the ground. But if you press X too late, then it won't cancel anything. So that's a little weird. I feel like it should have canceled it anyway, but that's why it's called advanced tech. This was the fastest way I could get this fight. I tried for like 100 different re-records to try to get all three of those fights to kill every single enemy. I couldn't get every enemy dead with with a single shadow possession. But I did get the next best thing, and that is to kill basically all of them and then just have the last guy die from a single punch. If you want to see some amazing tech, check out this next mission, because I unlock light dashing. I don't think there's an enemy limit to shadow possession. I think the maximum number of enemies that can spawn on the screen is really the only limitation. I think even if there's an enemy standing directly behind a different enemy, then it'll still shadow possess both of them. Shadow possession is really overpowered. I would say Shikamaru is the #1 ally in the entire game, just because of shadow possession. Like, it's really busted, and it gets even stronger when there are multiple enemies. Hey look, no encounters.
How've things been going?
You'll see some really funny RNG manipulation at some point. When the number of fights that need to be skipped gets higher, you'll see more of this RNG manipulation. Right now I'm only skipping like 3 fights, so it can be done basically instantly. Doesn't even look like RNG manipulation. But then when it gets to the end game, and we're gonna have to skip 7 fights in a row. Hey, look at that, light dashing. So light dashing is basically just using the air dash ability multiple times in a single jump. So all you have to do is do an air dash, and then wait 5 frames, and press triangle and R1 at the same time, and then press X again, and then you can do another dash. Because apparently the dash can be cancelled with an attack, like the triangle attack, and then the attack can be cancelled with the shadow clone, and then the shadow clone can be cancelled with the dash, and they just keep on cancelling each other out over and over again, and you can dash infinitely. I mean, you're gonna fall eventually, but as long as you're in the air, you can dash. And this was a lot more useful in Chronicles 1, mainly because of the fact that gravity didn't work very well. But, you know, Chronicles 2, it's still pretty good. And you saw throughout that whole fight right there, it wasn't just the battle of fighting the enemies themselves. I have to actually bait them to jump down from that platform. Which is why I wasn't really just attacking the entire time. I had to do certain actions to bait them off the platform. Also, Kankuro is pretty good. His R2 ninjutsu attack, that's actually really, really strong. It does a lot of hits and it does a lot of damage. The only problem is that it's very, very difficult to land properly. And that makes it just really hard to use. Oh, I love the movement in this area. Check this out. This is the brand new movement path that I found. Awesome. So I pick up the chakra scroll right there because I want to. I don't want to actually use it. I want to sell it for money, and that'll give me just enough money to create the build I want. Gonna buy some skill chips with it. But that's only a small percentage of the money I'm gonna be getting. The vast majority of it comes from this item right here. Gold bars in this game are really, really overpowered. Also, do you like this? You like this movement? Because this was one of my favorite moments in the task. This is a moment I was really looking forward to because I knew it would be awesome. Just dashing up the stairs like that. Oh man, I was really, really waiting for that to happen because I just knew it would be awesome. And anyway, gold bars are really overpowered in this game. If you want to farm money, just speedrun the missions and collect all of the gold bars because that's like 99% of your entire income right there. Alright, so I switched to Naruto just to pick up a little bit of virtue, and then I switched back to Shikamaru. And check out this glitch. You see how that enemy got hit right there? When I switched to Shikamaru, for some reason the hitbox just didn't disappear. And the hitbox for the attack just stayed at that one spot the entire time. I don't know why. Right here. You see how that enemy just got hit by nothing? Like what? That was really weird, and I just decided to keep it in because, you know, it's funny. You see how that enemy fell down? He got hit by the hitbox too when he fell down. The hitbox is still active. I don't know why, but as soon as it happened, I figured I have to keep this now. I have to keep this in the video, and I will do whatever it takes to make sure it stays. Yeah, I showed you this before. Alright, so I'm picking up Virtue, and I'm also going to do a bunch of RNG manipulation with Naruto. So the Rasengan advances RNG quite a lot. It's very, very helpful for getting the right RNG. And because of that, I get to skip all of these fights. Like, you can do that in Devil May Cry 4. Weird. Just have a hitbox that doesn't disappear. Alright, so I don't go into the upgrade menu, despite the fact that I just collected a bunch of virtue. And that's because there's not a whole lot of fighting in this chapter, so it's mostly just movement. But we do customize the skill plate in this one. I absolutely love menuing in TASs because it looks so impossible to do in real time. Well, there we go. That whole skill plate setup is designed to maximize attack power and chakra. And if like all of the defense and health skill chips I have on there are just there for the purpose of filling up the entire thing. That's about it. If you love TAS skill plating, you're gonna love chapter 10 because I do that with Kakashi too. Alright, so I'm saving some of my chakra for the end of this mission because I know there's gonna be a whole lot of movement at the very end. So I'm being very conservative with my chakra here. I wanted to have somewhere around half of my chakra by the time I entered the building. And then I just use a bunch of it at the end. Look at how I barely landed on those ledges. Yeah. Speaking of impossible, the hardest trick in the game is in this mission. The hardest trick in the entire TAS is in this mission. You notice how I didn't even go over to that enemy, I just sniped it with the shuriken. So enemies that are attacking bandits, they don't actually dodge your weapons. They just don't care. So it's actually really easy to snipe them. I sniped the second one too, but it's a lot harder. You couldn't even see him on screen. The little shuriken I threw a few seconds ago, that's what killed him. And then I decided to kill these optional enemies just to get extra virtue. Because why not? Oh, and chakra. I needed to restore my chakra too. Because I'm about to do a bunch of light dashing.
Too shabby.
Alright, so the hardest trick in the entire TAS is coming up in just a few seconds. When I get to the major platforming section of this task, you'll see that I start triangle jumping up a wall, and immediately after that, I move over to the opening, like where the stairs are, and then I jump and I light dash across a hallway, but like the hallway is kind of it's not just like a straight hallway. I have to go around 3 different corners. And then I have to land on the ledge that's high up. And alright, here it is. That was it right there. So I'm gonna explain this. See how close I am to these walls? Like if my angle was just a little bit off, Naruto would attach himself to those walls and then just fall to the floor. Because he's very wallophobic, I guess. So I had to take these at the widest angle I could. Or not the widest. I take it at like I go as close to the wall as I can without actually touching it. And then I just barely landed on this ledge. Notice how I'm just like a couple of pixels off of it. So close to falling off. If I were to take those turns a little bit too wide, then it would mean that I wouldn't be high enough to land on this ledge. There were some re-records where I barely missed landing on this ledge because I took the angle too wide, so I had to redo it again and go as close to the edge as possible. And this is by far the hardest thing I had to do in the entire task. And it goes by in like half a second. So I hope you appreciate that, because that's very, very difficult. That is something no human is ever going to do, RTA. Here, I'll show you this whole section uninterrupted. triangle jumping off that wall is going to be difficult too. How long did it take to get that right? I spent an entire day on that, actually. that literally, that literally took me all day to make. Just that one tiny part. Okay, I should probably explain this this next part here. So I just let part of this cutscene play out, mainly because this is RNG manipulation. The RNG advances every time a text box appears in a cutscene. So this is really the only way I have of manipulating the RNG for the next series of fights. And that's why it's pretty slow, but watching a few seconds of the cutscene is still faster than getting multiple fights. But I couldn't get all of them done because in order to manipulate more fights to be skipped, I'd have to spend more time than it would save. So I do get a random encounter here, mainly because of the fact that I can't really do much RNG manipulation. And also, at the end there, you saw me switch back to Naruto. That's because if you end the fight with the same character you started it with, you don't get a loading screen at the end of the fight. If I were to end that fight as Shikamaru, you'd get a loading screen because it would have to load Shikamaru's low poly map model that runs on the map screen. At least that's how I think it works. Presumably. And again, I let this cutscene play out a little bit, just to advance the RNG. To skip 2 fights. And again, like, the only way I had to manipulate the RNG was a cutscene, and that's not very powerful. So there wasn't much I can do here. But I promise you, that's the last random fight in this entire TAS. No more. That was as much as I could do with RNG manipulation. So I actually don't go straight to the fight. I pick up this spread kunai right here. These things are really, really powerful, and they're very good at close range. So I'm gonna be basically getting right into the enemy's face and spamming those. Also, the more testing I did with this task, the more I came to realize that the RTA runners really didn't test anything in this game. You can do this RTA. You can jump over that wall. I've never seen an RTA runner do that. Like it's almost as if they didn't test this game at all. I was like, come on, dude, that's so obvious. They always go the long way around. They like go behind the building and jump up onto it, and then curve around and go back outside. Like they really should have noticed that. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I can take this world record very, very easily. Just because I'm the only one who actually tested a bunch of stuff. The boss goes at about the same speed as the UC1 battles. This boss is pretty fast too. Alright, so this is where we see some major RNG manipulation on the home screen. Every time you move your cursor on the home screen, like select a different option, it advances the RNG by one step. So if I just go back and forth over and over again, it'll advance the RNG until I get the perfect seed to skip every single fight on the way to this mission. I was so happy when I got that because I didn't even realize that that was possible. I could have sworn that there was a limit on how much you could skip. Yeah, I might do an RTA speedrun at some point. Alright, so this is where we see aerial shadow spamming. If you just mash R1 in midair, you can do a very large number of hits per second. I love how the puppet just like flattens you at the end. So funny. And then for this boss, I learned something watching Kevy's record run a long time ago. If you down one of these bees on top of a ledge and then knock them off the ledge, you can hit them again and stun them a second time. So you can effectively double the stun time just from doing that. And that allows you to one cycle the bee. I let the cutscene play out just a little bit. I only needed to skip 2 fights, so I didn't need to advance it very much. Oh, so throughout this entire task so far, there hasn't been a single desync. And then in this one mission alone, I got like 4 of them. So the first desync was right there, and I had to fix that. And then there were 2 more in this spot. So it was really weird because like I went this entire task without a single desync, and then this one mission desynced 4 times. I was so confused and so furious because, jeez, it wasted so much of my time. The second desync was right there, and I had to go back and fix that too. And then the third desync was on this next enemy I'm about to fight. Actually, no. The third desync I think was actually as I was light dashing down there. But I went back and I fixed all of them. So if you download the emulator and the task file that I'm gonna have in the description of the video, then it'll all sync up perfectly. Just keep the settings on the safest presets, and you will not experience a desync. It took hours to correct all of the desyncs. I had to manually go through every single one of them. and figure out exactly what went wrong. Probably wasn't even worth it, really, but what are you gonna do? I actually don't think I got all of the orbs before that loading screen. The only reason I was picking up orbs in that mission is because they had chakra orbs there, and that allowed me to light dash more. That's the main reason why I was picking up orbs in that mission. It was to restore my chakra for more light dashing. But the virtue's kind of nice too, I guess. It's just not as helpful. All right, so the way to beat these bosses is to just charge up your spirit gauge as fast as possible, and then go into Ninetales mode. This is where the other desync happened. It was as I was sending shadow clones at that other enemy. So yeah, the basic point of the whole fight is to get my combo meter up as fast as possible. So these are all frame perfect shadow clones with a few items thrown in. So that's 4 desyncs in one mission. I think an RTA runner can actually do all of these boss fights. They just won't do it as fast. But they can do it the same way. Because ironically, the bosses in this game are like the easiest part. There are 2 boss fights that I think an RTA runner wouldn't be able to do the same way, or at least not really. And both of them are in chapter 10.
Destroy the orb! Leaf and Sand, team up!
I'll get to those later though. Right now in chapter 9 I'm going to do a whole bunch of RNG manipulation. For some reason it took a very, very long time to get a proper seed in order to skip all of the fights. That was the longest one. Oh yeah, you're gonna see the Gara thing, the sand wall jump. I couldn't find a use for it in platforming, but you know it's a fun thing to mess around with in the boss fight. I like how it just barely got over that railing. No, I'm not gonna use Gara to escape the fire. I have a different plan for that. Alright, so this is one of the moments in the task that I was kind of looking forward to, because I knew it would be way faster than what you do RTA. You line up all the enemies in pretty much a straight line, and then just throw shurikens at all of them. And then this guy is just too close to throw shurikens at him. I don't actually need that chakra scroll, I just picked it up because why not? This place has a lot of invisible ceilings. So you notice how I kind of delayed my dashes there a little bit? It's because I needed to fall below the ceiling. Because otherwise it would have blocked me. Very strange. You'll see a lot more. Well, obviously you won't see them, but there's going to be a lot more invisible ceilings throughout this level. Alright, so this is my favorite boss in the entire game. Well, the one that comes after Sakura is going to be my favorite boss in the game because it's an auto-scroller. And so that means the TAS can just screw around with it. I made sure to moonwalk just for Kevy. If he ever sees this, he's going to love that. Just styling on Sakura. There is no way to speed up this next boss fight, and so I decided to make it as swaggy as possible. And sometime during that process I found out that you can actually jump off of Gaara's sand walls if you time it just right, at the right angle. So you're gonna see him fly up into the sky. Whee! So weird. And here I'm trying to push the bee onto that ramp so that I can do a sand wall there. It didn't work out as amazingly as I planned, but it was still pretty cool. And then I just like no scope this enemy over here from across the map and do another Gaara jump. Alright, so now this is actually really difficult to set up. I'm trying to lure the bee over to this pedestal here so that I can knock him down on top of it. That is incredibly precise. That is super difficult to land it just right because this guy has such a huge hitbox. Alright, so I'm doing an uppercut here. So I actually knocked the bee off of this platform and then did an uppercut immediately afterwards. And the enemy kind of pulls Naruto off the pedestal in the middle of an uppercut. Because I timed it so perfectly. Like his I guess the bee's stand-up animation pulls you toward it a little bit. And so I got to the point where the bee was at that point in his attack, but didn't actually attack me. I can only imagine that's super precise too. And all of this was just for the sake of style. There's really no reason to do all of this. This last enemy, on the other hand, has to be defeated as quickly as possible. So I jump off the wall just to get high enough to do the helicopter attack on frame 1. I love that fight so much. Yeah, that's the coolest boss fight in the entire TAS. Alright, so now I just have to escape the fire. If you keep an eye on my chakra, you'll see that I don't really have a whole lot of it at the end of this. And I do still have my Ninetales mode, but Ninetales mode, like the main purpose of Ninetales mode is to hit stuff harder, basically. And if I use it outside of a fight, what would be the point? But there is a point, because Ninetales mode has a couple of special features about it. The first of which is that it regenerates its own chakra. You notice how my chakra is going up? That's the main point of doing this. It is a little bit slower. You notice how it's taking me a little while to jump after I land on the ground? That's worth it because light dashing is still faster than just running normally. The second reason why I use Ninetales mode here is because he doesn't take any damage. So you notice how I don't even give a shit about the fire. I'm standing in fire right now and Naruto doesn't even care. Alright, so now I just do a little bit of RNG manipulation. That's where the 5th desync happened, by the way. Right as I was about to do some RNG manipulation, the TAS desynced. And I didn't realize it until after I had successfully gotten the RNG manipulation to skip 5 fights. So I had to do that twice. It took me like all day just to get this because for some reason it's incredibly unlikely to skip all of those. And I was really devastated to see that I had to do all of it again. That took forever, dude.
The final showdown! Destroy the puppets!
Yeah, Naruto jumps slower during Ninetales mode. I'll show you. You notice how he's like staying on the ground for a little while before he starts to jump? That's why I don't use Ninetales mode very much. But it's faster to use him here because he doesn't care about the fire. The fire doesn't interrupt him. So that's why I used him there. Yeah, I don't know.
The final showdown! Destroy the puppets!
At the start of this chapter, I had to make a lot of really, really difficult decisions. Because, like, do I level up Naruto? Do I get Kakashi a skill plate? Do I pick up the multi-Shuri supers? And different combinations of each of these would result in very, very minor time saves or time losses. And I had to do a lot of experimentation with all of that. It took like maybe half a day to route out this final chapter, just this one little chapter. So I had to go ahead and like test all of my damages. I had to test Kakashi's damage. I had to test Multi-Shuri's super damage. I had to make sure that everything I did was going to save more time than it costed. And what I ultimately decided on is that I have to level up Naruto's chakra twice and his taijutsu attack power once, and I have to get Kakashi's skill plate and get rations, and do not get the multi-shuri supers. And what you're seeing right now is like my favorite part of the entire task, because this movement, it's really it's like non-stop action. I actually, as I pause, um, it's just non-stop movement throughout this entire section. And this is like this is uh, the biggest stretch of movement in the entire game. So that's why I picked up a bunch of rations, because I'm gonna need a lot of chakra for all this light dashing. Alright, here we go. It gets even crazier in this area. And this is the one point where the camera just doesn't follow me very well. So I had to do most of that without even being able to see my character. Look, the camera just doesn't care where Naruto is when I get to the outside stairs. This little balcony out here. Couldn't even see my character, but I was still moving him perfectly. And the movement still isn't over. I actually do a really cool trick in this area. A trick that maybe a person could do if he gets lucky. I don't know. I wouldn't really go for this in runs because it's just way too difficult. But you can actually jump off this wall around here. This wall. And you can land on that platform up there. Normally we would just go around it. Like we would go straight forward instead of go that way, but you know. It's a really precise jump. And I'm not sure if there's anyone that's gonna ever land on that, because it's really precise. Yeah. There are a lot of moments where I just barely land on the edge by like a pixel. That's why I really love that jump. But it's way too hard. You can hear that dog. Alright, so now Kakashi gets his own skill plate. This is only faster in a task, by the way. It would not be worth it to customize Kakashi's skill plate in an RTA run. The only reason a task does it is because it can do it in like 10 seconds. However, it does make this next fight way faster. Because Kakashi is doing double damage with his regular combos, but with the first hit of his combos, he's doing 6 times normal damage. He usually only does 1. And so that allows us to use this strategy where we just do those first 2 hits over and over again for the entire fight. And that makes it way faster than I ever thought it would be. And I switched to Sakura at the very end here. So there's something weird. I don't know why it's like this, but like if you end the fight with Kakashi, then the next fight will start with Kakashi. But if you end the fight with Sakura, then the next fight starts with Naruto. Like, what? I don't get that. Doesn't make any sense. But yeah, you switch to Sakura and you can use Naruto. This move I'm doing right here is called Helicopter, because Naruto is just spinning around in midair. It's the fastest form of attacks that Naruto can do, because it damage doesn't matter on the first phase of this boss. The only thing that matters is how many attacks Naruto does, and that's Naruto, not his clones. So even if you use clones, they won't add to the actual combo. Well, I mean, it'll show the combo on screen, but it won't count as an attack for the boss. You have to actually do it with Naruto, and the fastest way to do that is with Helicopter. You just alternate between like triangle and R1 to cancel the attack. All right, but this next phase is definitely not RTA viable, because I just do a bunch of no-look YOLO shots on all of these orbs, and they all get hit. You have to down all of the orbs in order to hit the boss. All of these are really, really precise. You'd be lucky if you can get one of them in an RTA run. And then for the final phase, all of the orbs have double health. So I have to hit them more times. And you notice how I walked to dodge the lightning? I couldn't really I couldn't go faster than that, because if I did, then the lightning would catch up to me while I was damaging the orb, and so it would hit me. Oh no, I died! Just kidding. See, this is where I wanted to show off something cool for you, but I didn't have any chakra. Also, that wall that's coming at me, that wall is an instant kill, regardless of how much health you have left. I avoided it frame perfectly, just for style. And that's the run. The final time was 53 minutes, or 55 minutes and 43 seconds.
Immortal. I am invincible.
The RTA record right now is 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 19 seconds by Kevy. So I think I beat the world record by 40 minutes. By over 40 minutes. 1:36:19. It's the RTA record. Oh yeah, I can definitely beat RTA. This speedrun is not optimized at all for RTA runs. I might even be able to get a sub 130 RTA.
Yes, I was able to retrieve them from the remains of their hideout.
How do you plan to dispose of them?
Well, it's not like it'll do any harm just to leave them alone, but if we get rid of them, a certain someone wants to do it himself.
Well, as soon as you find that exploit for the
It'll be
boat,
a fitting way for him
make
to
sure to
make
tell me,
amends.
because I want to know.
What's wrong, Sensei? What are you doing here before the mission?
Naruto
Oh, so
asked me to
I'm
be
gonna
here.
post multiple
Naruto?
versions of this video onto my BitChute channel.
Something to show you. Get a load of these.
There's gonna be the original unedited version, and then there's gonna be a different version of the video that's
Weird. I swear I've seen
that's
them
edited to
before.
have all of the loading screens removed.
Not ringing any bells, huh?
I call
Well,
that the
you're lucky
abridged version.
The spirit orbs.
And then I'm gonna upload this version.
Hey, no fair, Kakashi Sensei.
And I'm gonna have a download link to all 3 of the videos in the description of all of them.
Before, were they?
By the time I came to pick them up, they'd shrunk to this size. This must be their true form. Now they're just powerless jewels.
Wow.
And I don't know, I thought Naruto might want to take care of them. So how about it, Naruto? This a good spot?
Yeah! Perfect!